right, we've got a very special guest on our very first interview for Country High Road. This is Aaron Benward.
Hey, what's up? Country High Road.
Love yeah. Hi, Aaron. First one. You are the, I don't want to say virgin, but anyway.
I'll take it.
You'll take it. You'll take it. When you hear the word songwriter, what comes to mind?
Hero. Why I say hero is because songwriters are the ones, the guys and the girls that are behind the artists. A lot of times artists write songs for themselves as well, you know, but the songwriter really, those are the ones that nobody sees. Those are the people that live the life and put it down in a song and write it. Those are the ones that help create, you know, careers for artists. Without songs, that we don't have any musicians. We don't have a Luke Bryan. We don't have a Tim McGraw. We don't have a Faith Hill without great songs. And so, songwriters to me are the heroes of music.
Do you feel like it's being a poet?
Part of it, yeah, definitely poet from the standpoint of just the rhyme schemes and things like that, and how to say things that are maybe everyday and kind of in a way that you never heard before. So poetic in that sense, but I also think it's also how do you connect, you know, the lyrics to real life so that people can really relate to.
How early did you get started in this and know that this is what you were going to do?
Well, I grew up in a musical family. My dad was a gospel singer, and his dad, my grandfather, was also a crooner. So music has always been kind of how I watched the men in my family kind of make a living. But 18, I guess, probably, when graduating high school. Of course, I played piano and musical theater and all those types of things growing up, but really doing it for a profession. When I graduated high school, my dad asked me, he said, "What are you going to do with your life, son?" And I said, "Well, I think I want to do what you do." And from that point on, it became everything I ever did.
Now, when a singer-songwriter gets a publishing deal, explain that, and how good is that for their career?
Publishing deal. That's could be kind of quite interesting for people. They don't understand. Publishing deals are very simple, though, actually. So many aspiring singer-songwriters will sign a publishing deal, let's say, with Warner Brothers or Sony or any assortment of independents. And what they do is that they give them a monthly stipend, a monthly advance that really helps them, you know, can get away from maybe their everyday job, maybe they're bartenders, or maybe they worked at, you know, Walmart or whatever, and they sign a publishing deal, and that affords them the opportunity to just write songs every day, 7 days a week. And what that does is they basically front them the money, and then the publishing company gets that paid back when their songs are making money. And so that's what the publishing deal is. And oftentimes publishers are really responsible for developing the artist, helping them get in different co-writes and different songwriters that are really, really successful, that will help them develop their own sound and help them understand who they are as a songwriter.
Now, you start out in Nashville. What's the road like? When you go there, I'm a songwriter. What's the journey like to get noticed, to get recognition of what you're doing?
I mean, of course, everybody's journey is different, but I think by and large, if you had to sum it up, I think you get to Nashville and you really start rubbing elbows with people that are doing it at a high level. You know, you can be one thing in your small town, but when you get to the music city and you start, you know, really seeing great talent out there, some that are maybe the same age as you are, some that are older, and you realize, wow, there's so much to learn. So getting to Nashville, getting out and meeting people and listening to other songwriters, as well as then collaborating with them if you can.
And there's a lot of songwriter rounds there that you could take part in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good start. I've heard a lot of artists say that that's kind of like how they got started.
Yeah, songwriter rounds it's really where it started in Nashville, you know. And yeah, there's many open mics, as well as just newer songwriters sitting next to the successful, more established ones as well.
Now, you've since moved to Los Angeles.
Yes.
And it's amazing, and people don't realize this, how many songwriters are in LA, or how many go to LA to write or co-write.
Yeah, LA, you know, ironically, there's a lot of LA moving to Nashville right now. But I went the other way. I lived in Nashville for 25 years. And for me, I wanted to expand my boundaries and my horizons, if you will, outside of just what Nashville could afford me, and that was TV and film and other things in LA. And so we made the move 6 years ago, and haven't looked back since. I kind of have the best of both worlds. I go back to Nashville probably 4 or 5 times a year. My mom, my dad, my sister, my niece, my brother-in-law live there. So it's really still is home. But from the standpoint of just getting into LA, you know, they look at me and go, "Man, how do you live in LA?" And thank goodness I don't have to deal with the traffic much. And, you know, so, but that's kind of the worst part.
Any place you live is what you make it.
That's right.
You pretty much, and you were determined you were going to make it. You were going to advance your horizons, and you did.
That's right.
And you'll never know until you try it.
That's right.
Never.
Absolutely. I think once you take a step, the universe, God, and everything rises up to meet you in that step of faith.
Now, there's some people who think that fans don't really need to know about the songwriters and how this downloading and streaming affects them, and this law that they're trying to get passed to better the life of the songwriter. How important is it? You think that the fans need to know this?
I mean, I think it's important for people that, we are consuming music at a higher rate than ever before. And music is now, the value of music has become free. Nobody buys music anymore, by and large. So what they don't understand is that has affected the songwriting community in a huge way. Because just 15, 12 years ago, if you had a cut, even a song on an album that sold a significant amount of albums, you could make a decent living. And maybe it was never a hit song, but you kind of helped establish that piece of art with that artist. And, you were actually compensated for it. Now, it's just not there. So unless you have a hit single on the radio as a songwriter, you're really not making any money. Streaming has done a horrible disservice and really ruined our world. So yeah, I think it's important for the consumer to know that. I don't know if it's going to change anything, but it's important to know.
Well, what are some of the offset things that these songwriters do? I know you were with the duo Blue County, and you guys still do some shows together with Scott Reeves, and I know Travis toured with Brooks and Dunn, and he still does some songwriting for Miranda and stuff. How do you guys offset some of this stuff? What else can you do to make a living?
Well, the show like I have here in Vegas, where we're talking, it was playing live. Playing live now, a lot of songwriters, I mean, not only do I have them here every Friday night, but there are also different events around the country where songwriters are going out and playing their songs and telling their stories because they have to, because another stream of income for them. And that kind of little genre, that little sect of music business is kind of growing, which is great. I personally changed my focus from trying to get on to write for other artists, writing more for TV shows that are conducive to how I write music, like The Ranch on Netflix, Yellowstone, things like that are really geared more towards the rootsy Americana, kind of gritty kind of music. But also on the flip side of things, I write pop music. So for me, I've had to offset my focus. It really took me going to LA, to be honest with you. Get outside what can sometimes in Nashville be a very small box and realize there's a lot of other ways to write music and make a living doing it.
Do you still think merchandise is important for these fans at shows to purchase?
I mean, I think for the artists it is. I mean, I think for, Dierks Bentleys and Chris Youngs and those types of people, Lady Antebellums, I mean, they should sell merch because it's a very viable income stream. The thing that's really interesting about that is a lot of times these artists will sell merchandise with song titles on it that the songwriter came up with. And it's really interesting that the songwriter's not making a cent from it, but the artist is, because it's their merchandise.
Yeah. I know a lot of singer-songwriters. I've gone to see them do private shows in smaller venues, and they always have their merch out there.
Yeah. I think that's one way that's just, even if it's small, to help offset some money, especially mostly CDs. I mean, whenever we take Nashville Unplugged around the country, which we just did one in South Dakota last weekend, and the theater of about 400 people, and myself and two other songwriters did it, and we sold a significant amount of CDs because it's an experience they didn't realize, oh my gosh, these guys wrote these songs, and our versions are different than the recording artist versions. So.
And you're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of being here at Mandalay Bay with Nashville Unplugged. Now, is this, I think, the 8th year that this has been a concept? How did this all start?
Well, I was a recording artist for many years, and came off the road, and was actually in Las Vegas doing a benefit for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, the radio station. And we did it at a venue that I had played many times before at Blue County. And I was talking to the entertainment director there, just catching up, and she was asking me, so what are you going to do now? What's your focus? And catching up, I saw that she was wearing a Waylon pendant. She had a W, still does. Big fan of music, big fan of country music and songwriters. And I threw it out and said, hey, what if we did like a Bluebird Cafe, a Songwriter in the Round show here at one of your casinos, and try to get the radio station on board to promote. I said, all right, let's try it. So we started, we're doing it once a month. That turned into twice a month, and that turned into every single Friday. And it has been every single Friday for the last 6 years.
6 years. Now, where was the first show?
It was Green Valley Ranch here in Las Vegas. First show.
Oh, you guys got around.
We did, sure did.
I think I've been to many of your shows in different places, and I've been to shows here at Mandalay Bay since you've been here. I've seen such an upsurge in the audience.
It's funny.
Since you've been here.
Thanks. I think the songwriter in the round experience is something that you have to experience. It's one thing to be able to talk about it and explain what it is, and there's maybe a little bit of, oh, that's cool, but once you kind of get to a show and you see us and experience us, the ones on stage, speaking the same language, and that language is music. And no show's ever scripted, it's never rehearsed, it's all improv and off the cuff, and you'll experience guys and girls jumping in on each other's songs, maybe songs they never heard before, but they realize they pick up a harmony or they pick up a guitar part, and it just becomes a scenario where we're playing our songs, telling our stories as one big happy family. That's what it's all about.
After every show, many people come up to you guys and just say what a great night they had. They never knew this was like this. They'll be back. I hear it every time we're here. And that's got to be great.
It is, man. It's one thing to write a song, create something out of nothing, having a blank screen or a blank piece of paper, and in a few hours or a few days or however long it takes you to finish a song, it's really, really satisfying. It's like having a baby. Have you ever had a baby? I've never had one, but I have 3. My wife. But also to be able to sit here in front of folks on a stool with a guitar and that instant gratification of how a song might affect them. Or they come up with a story about, oh my goodness, a couple years ago I was here and this song really changed my life, or I danced to that at my wedding, or whatever. I mean, those are the things that are really, really cool. You don't get to experience if you're just in a room writing songs every day. So I think that's one of the things that writers, when they come out and play, they're able to kind of connect with the audience and connect with the fan, and the fan connect with them, for them to realize just how important what they do is.
I've come to truly appreciate the songwriter more since following your shows. I mean, it takes on a whole different level when you know what they go through and say, oh my gosh, that's the story behind the song, and it just takes on a whole different level.
Well, it causes you to really realize that you put a life, you put a story, you put an experience with the song that you maybe have heard or maybe you haven't heard before. And it just adds a whole nother layer and another level to what the song means.
I'm sure there's been some defining moments in your career. What are a few that really stick out?
One defining moment was probably early on when I first sang with my dad. I started in gospel music, Christian music with my pops. And when he first asked me what I want to do with my life, going full circle, I said I wanted to be a singer. He said, why don't you come out and sing with me and try it? And so I did. The first time I went out, I'm singing at church with him. He and I sang one song together, and that was definitely the highlight of the night for people. And then we kind of built on that, expanded on that, and went on to, have 10 #1 songs together and make 4 albums together. So that would be a defining moment. Another defining moment, I think, was probably when, we Blue County days, when we got our first nomination. Of course, we were up against Brooks and Dunn, so we didn't have a chance of winning. But it was really, really cool to see that, wow, awards don't really mean anything other than the fact that you've been acknowledged as something that's been able to be successful and doing something cool in music. That was really a big defining moment. And I think lastly, probably, strictly on all this is on a music standpoint, was when we moved to Los Angeles and taking the jump. My kids were 6th grade, 10th grade, 9th grade, and 11th grade. Very important times in their life, but we knew that what we're supposed to do, and tight family, and I think looking back was the right thing to do for a sundry of reasons. But those were some defining moments in my life for sure.
I have to say, one of my defining moments with Nashville Unplugged was the Friday after Route 91. I came here that night. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I had to be here, and I learned even stronger then the impact that music has on people's lives.
Yeah, that was definitely a moment. We were 5 days after it happened. We were the first anything that happened in this casino, and it was a night that was going into it, I was very nervous. I was just like, how do we handle this? And I just got this sense to let the music speak and let our lives speak and just be real. We didn't dwell on it. We just tried to allow the music to speak to people, to folks. Sounds like it did.
Yeah, I just, and then the next day after that, or that night, we went to where all the crosses were, and then the next day I went back, and by Sunday, with the whole weekend, I had a feeling of peace. As odd as that may sound, after a tragedy, I just finally came to terms with it, because we were here in town when it happened, and I think, oh my God, I'm not going out, and I came here knowing that Friday night, that's where I needed to be.
Yeah.
And you guys did an amazing job pulling it all together.
That was an honor. Thank you.
What is the most important part of what you do?
I think being authentic and real, and when you're writing, because there comes a time where commercialism and inspiration, authenticity could intersect. Because on one hand, you have to make a living for your family if you're going to do this for a living. If you're doing it as a side gig or secondary thing, that's one thing. But when this is all you do, it's all you do. So you're always battling, hey, what songs are hot, what songs have worked, and I can write a song like that, or trying to write something that's authentic and real and believe that if it's supposed to be in the universe, it'll find its place. So I think that over the years, even the older I get, the more I try to live by that.
How do you define success?
Success to me is, for me, success would be my wife and kids. And when I get a random phone call from my 23-year-old son one day and he says, Dad, I was just thinking about how awesome it is that you've been able to provide for our family as an artist. Or my daughter called me today while I was here to tell me about, a new venture she's going on. She's working in human trafficking. And just the fact that she would just call and fill me on that, or my wife telling me how proud she is of me, and that's success.
Definitely. Well, Aaron, I'm so glad. Years ago I met you, and a lot of your shows have changed my life, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I thank you for taking the time here in Vegas, in the crazy town, to sit with us and be our first interview, because I tell you, without you guys, there aren't the songs. And I consider the Songwriters their own genre,
Absolutely.
if there's such a thing. And you guys are the epitome. You have done so much for so many people. So keep on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.